Often there's a discussion in LARP about being a stick jock and being there for the roleplay. There's a bit of contention between the two groups, and I can see why. Essentially, the idea is that if your group is devoted towards one style, then the other style has a tendency to throw a wrench in the works. Say you go to a group that does Belgarth, which is traditionally devoted to martial excellence. If you go with little experience but try to behave as though you're a great warrior, you'll often have a bad time. Not only will it be very difficult to win a fight, but you may find yourself being picked on by the more skilled fighters. There's comparison to Don Quixote, but I need to move on to the next point. So say you go to... I'll be honest, I don't know the name of any good role-playing LARPs, since there aren't really any in my area. That's part of what I'm trying to change, actually. Amtgard has some rules for it, but I don't know a lot of specifics. Anyway, say you go there and you're really good at fighting. That's all well and good, but the people there are interested in doing things other than fighting, and you may once again end up having a bad time. You may find yourself being sort of shunned by the people that don't want to just spar over and over, or to arrange big battles and scenarios. Odds are they're looking for a little bit of context behind any fights that they get into. You may also find that the people act in ways that seem strange or even outright rude. It may be a bit of a weird experience overall, and you may end up feeling the need to assert your ironic detachment from the event and start making fun of people's serious attempt at role-playing. This isn't okay. So why are role-players so bad at fighting? Well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. In my experience, if they're a role player and they're good at fighting, they may have started in a system like Belgarth and moved to a more role-playing heavy game. You may also find that there are people that are fully invested in both ventures, but I feel like it's less common. Often role-playing heavy games don't place much of an emphasis on how good of a fighter you are, but instead care about how much you are engaged in the role-playing. So why are role-players such wimps? Well, they are. You're probably just hitting too hard. Martial excellence systems often have soft boffer weapons or lots of protection, and involve comparatively heavy hitting. Belgarth, for instance, allows for players to actually shrug hits that may have connected, but were not very forceful. Medium and or full contact systems tend to cause those players to become used to getting hit hard, and so they don't mind it. But role-playing systems often use latex weapons or weapons that are generally just less safe and they use lighter contact. This combination of factors means that they just aren't used to heavy hits, and it might quickly become angry at players who do so often. Especially things like hits to the head and hits to the groin are much more frowned upon in these groups. So why are stick jocks so rude? Well, as a general rule, they actually aren't. They're just probably not used to the conventions of role-playing games, like the things I just mentioned. Why don't role-players just get good? Well, it could be any combination of things I just mentioned, or it could be that they don't really know where to start. They may not have anyone interested in sparring with them, or they may only be able to spar with people that don't keep an open dialogue going throughout the session, discussing the various strategies that they tried and how they turned out. This is really important in getting better at fighting, and it's something I'll likely discuss in a later video. So, why are all my questions focused on RP apologetics? Because the group I'm trying to form is based in role-playing, and most of the groups in the area focus on martial excellence. I'll likely end up making videos about how to work on your skills as a fighter, but that will occur at a later time. So, what makes good role-playing? I don't really know. There's not really any great answer. Essentially, it boils down to experimenting with what you're comfortable with, finding a partner that's open to your interests. Mutual consent is, of course, a must, and a safe word is, I think I got a little distracted. Anyway, one of the keys to role-playing is the separation of self and character. Never bring a problem from the real world into the game. This is a great way to get hurt. I once had to break up a spar that turned pretty violent. It turned out that the two were fighting over something silly that was happening on a game, but one of them ended up with a dislocated shoulder and the other had a concussion. If you have a problem with someone else in the game, either avoid them or try to be civil about it. On the other hand, you need to understand that people in the midst of role-playing are doing just that. They're playing a role. We all have that one soft-spoken friend in our D&D groups that plays Old Man Henderson in every single game. This may or may not be intentional, but it's incredibly important that you never take in-game conflicts home with you. Take it as a motivation for your character, certainly, but not as a reason to be personally slighted or upset with that person. So now that I've laid out these basic ground rules, we can get into the hows and
Did you actually
whys.
manage to get that without getting hit? Tyler, did you manage that without getting hit? Nice.
Afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Figured out how to do it.
You got it. Yep. Not quite. Nope. Nope, not happening.
No, I can't use that. Hand on blade! Hand on blade! No one has control of this fucking thing. Die! That's going in.